All right, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Critical Wade Theory. Sometimes we dig into the artists who changed the game, whether or not the game noticed. And today we're going to look at the Mekons, the most revolutionary band you've maybe never heard of. And you can picture it. Leeds, 1977, punk is exploding. A group of art students at the University of Leeds, inspired by the raw anarchic energy of the time, form a band. Kind of. They call themselves the Mekons, after a villain in a British sci fi comic. No one can really play. That's kind of the point. Their first single, Never Been in a Riot. It's a sarcastic jab at the macho posturing of the punk scene, even as they were a part of it. And if you want to get a sense of how the band sounds, you can just listen to Never Been in a Riot for 5 seconds and you'll get an idea of their attitude. Now, they did go on to expand their sound in different ways, but really the core of the band is sort of in that sound of Never Been in a Riot, I guess you could say. But the Mekons weren't built to stay in one genre. By the early 80s, something wild happened. They started fusing punk with country, folk, and dub music. This wasn't ironic or novelty, it's something that worked pretty well for them. Albums like Fear and Whiskey in 1985 laid the groundwork for what we'd now call alt country or cowpunk before that term even existed. So, Fear and Whiskey is one of their better known albums. They brought fiddles and steel guitars into punk clubs. They made records that sounded like Hank Williams had wandered into a squat full of Marxists, and they did it without losing their edge. Lester Bangs, admittedly, I don't really know that much about who he is, but he once called them the most revolutionary group in the history of rock and roll, which is quite a statement. And I guess if you ask some people, he might have been right. And of course, one of the things they're known for is their blend of punk and country music. But the Mekons have always been political, but not too preachy about it. They write songs about miners' strikes, Latin American revolutions, art, war, and late night desperation. They critique capitalism, the music industry, and themselves. It's angry, yes, but also clever, poetic, and often very funny. And they're not a band so much as a collective. They've got rotating members, democratic decision making is a thing, and as far as I know, there are no rock star egos involved. So that's part of why they've lasted. While most punk bands burned out or sold out, the Mekons just kept going for the most part, you know? Maybe they slowed down as the years advanced, but apparently they're still at it. At least from what I've heard, still out there playing, possibly still recording. Their current members include John Langford, Tom Greenhall, Sally Timms, Steve Goulding, Susie Honeyman, Rico Bell, Lou Edmonds, and Dave Trumfio. I may have mispronounced some of those names, but I did my best. Anyway, I don't think most of those are household names anyway, so I guess you could forgive me for not knowing them. But you know, they're legends to those who know who they are, right? They've influenced everyone from Wilco to the Old Country Underground without ever really chasing fame that much. Because there's a difference between wanting some recognition and, wanting, to be at the top of the music food chain or the ladder or whatever you want to call it, the king of the mountain. So the Mekons are a blueprint for how to stay true to your vision, your politics, and your art without really becoming boring. So They're also a band where if you want to hear a mix of punk attitude and fiddle playing, you can go right on ahead and listen to them. So if you want to hear what a band sounds like when it refuses to die, conform, or shut up, you can start with Fear and Whiskey, then try Rock and Roll. Kind of a generic title, but whatever. It's it's an album, and then go down the rabbit hole, and maybe you'll find uh, I don't know, whatever you look for in a rabbit hole. I'm not sure. Just the I guess the music that you're seeking down, down the road. Boy, I'm just running out of steam here. I don't even know what to say at this point. Anyway, just check out the Mekons. Go down that rabbit hole, and maybe you'll find the carrot down there. The musical carrot. There we go. That'll work.